Look, we've been watching Blake Snell pitch for a long time. We know what comes with the territory of Blake Snell. Dominant, not super efficient. That's what we saw tonight. And luckily, Max Muncy in the offense picked him up and dominated on the offensive side of the ball. Dodgers win the game, win the series. Unfortunately, the Padres done too, but still, we're talking Dodgers here on All Dodgers. Hey, what's up, Dodger fans? Welcome to the All Dodgers podcast. I am Jeff Snider. That guy next to me, right there, that's Kevin Skinner. We are part of the Bleav Network of podcasts, brought to you by FanDuel, all the good stuff. We are happy to be here talking with you on this Saturday evening after another Dodgers victory. Dodgers beat the Blue Jays. What was the final score? 9-1, something like that. Dodgers win to win the series. You know, Kevin, we wrapped up last night's episode saying, hopefully the Dodgers can win today just to lock in the series win. And now we can get greedy tomorrow and go for a series sweep over, maybe the best team in baseball. The Blue Jays have been very good coming off scoring 49 runs in 3 games against the Rockies. They've now scored 2 in 2 games against the Dodgers, a solo homer and a little weak run in the first game. Dodgers have dominated, and in this game, Kevin, Blake Snell was the story, at least on the pitching side of things. The bullpen did great too, but Blake Snell, 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, no runs allowed. Unfortunately, those 5 innings took him nearly 100 pitches to get to, and we've seen it on the other side of things. We saw it, in 2020, where Kevin Cash didn't trust Blake Snell to go deep in the game. And some of that was because Blake Snell didn't have a lot of experience going deep in the game because he doesn't pitch really efficiently. Blake Snell, he's thrown one complete, it's a running thing. I called him Blake Snell so much when I didn't like him that now my mouth has a really hard time getting used to calling him by his correct name. I apologize, Mr. Snell.
Oh.
He's
if I can say italics, you can say Snell. If you don't get that joke, listen to the last episode.
You got to listen every day. But Blake Snell has thrown one complete game in his career, and that was a no-hitter. That kind of tells you everything you know about. Also, he's only qualified for the ERA title twice in his career, and he won the Cy Young Award both years. Like, that's Blake Snell. When he pitches, he's really, really good, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Blue Jays are not the best team in baseball right now. That crown hangs firmly upon the Brewers' head, who have 72 wins, the only team above 70 wins in baseball. However, the Brewers also play the National League Central with the Cubs falling off a cliff and the Reds being middling at best, and then everybody else not really existing. So I think the Blue Jays are right now the best the American League has to offer at the bare minimum. And yeah, Dodgers took it to them. We did 100% get the full, unedited, raw Blake Snell experience tonight. 5 and dive, no earned runs, 10 strikeouts, and just, that was it. That's all. That's the pitch count got there, and they were like, you know what? Thank you. We're gonna toss us the bullpen. But oh man, what the Dodgers bullpen could be, take that every day. Every day. Give me 5 runs or 5 innings, no runs.
And what the Blue Jays are is the hardest team in baseball to strike out. And the Dodgers struck them out 14 times tonight. Even after Snell left the game, the bullpen, each reliever had exactly the same number of strikeouts as innings pitched. 4 strikeouts in 4 innings. Brock Stewart had a good inning. Jack Dreyer gave up the solo homer, but otherwise had 2 good innings. And then Alexis Diaz, wouldn't call it dominant, but he pitched a scoreless 9th inning, and the Dodgers win the game. But Blake Snell, he's a guy who, we talked a little bit yesterday, wondering what we would see exactly from him in this game, because the Blue Jays don't strike out a lot. And, but we did, Joe Davis had noted, they do chase a lot. They make contact when they chase. But in this game, they weren't chasing it. Alejandro Kirk is going to chase. That dude would chase, I could get him to swing.
He's a dog. He chases a car.
But he hit the ball.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a case of Blake Snell getting them to swing and miss at bad pitches. They were swinging and missing at pitches in the zone. He was just dominant. It was like, here's my stuff and you can't hit it. And they said, you are correct, sir. We can't hit it. And you know what? It's a lot of fun when Blake Snell is wearing Dodger blue to watch him do that.
Yeah, I'm going to butcher these numbers. So I'm going to need the audience to trust me that the numbers are within like a standard deviation. But I Bleav at one point, Blake Snell had thrown 55 pitches, 22 of which had landed in the zone. And he was still, I think at that point, at 7 strikeouts. Like, that's how much chase he was getting. He was landing less than half of his pitches in the zone, and yet the Blue Jays were swinging at them. And this is, again, a team that does not swing and miss a lot. They swing, they make soft contact, they foul stuff off, they work pitch counts. You know, you had Vladimir Guerrero Jr. striking out tonight, and he's in the 71st percentile in whiff percentage. Like, he just doesn't strike out a lot. Like, he doesn't swing and miss. It was filthy. Every time Blake Snell threw a pitch, even when it was a changeup or a slider and it buried, 6-8 inches below the zone, I was like, that was a good pitch because it started thigh high and still landed really like, mid shin. Like they were just good pitches. They were well executed. He had his stuff. I know you mentioned what version of Blake Snell we were getting. I obviously also had that question. For me, it was going to take 1 to 2 starts to really figure it out. What are we going to get? I think we're going to get, 2024 Giants second half Blake Snell. And to our benefit, he's going to pitch in the postseason, which the Giants did not get, thankfully, that advantage.
Yeah, Alex in the chat earlier says, I think they just saved Snell for the last 3 months of the season. Glasnow and Snell can't go a full season. And yeah, I think there was, I don't think the injuries were made up, but I do think they definitely took their time bringing them back, knowing, based on these guys' track records, we don't want to bring them back in May or June, knowing that they might not have what it takes to get all the way through October. Bring him back in July, late July, and let them build up and then hopefully be healthy for October. Because that's the thing. Like, I saw people early in the season talking about how the Blake Snell signing was already a bust. And it's like, we haven't even gotten to our first October with him. Like, I don't care if Blake Snell only throws 30 innings a year for the Dodgers in the regular season if he pitches like Blake Snell in October, and we don't know if that's going to happen, but they weren't signing.
It's trending that way.
Back on the podcast I used to do, I compared it when they signed him to the Rich Hill signing. When the Dodgers, after they traded for Rich Hill, then they re-signed him in after the 2015 season.
Yeah.
And they basically said, Andrew Friedman said at the press conference, we know we're not going to get a full season from Rich. Rich is old. He probably didn't use those exact words.
2015.
But yeah, he was old. He was Clayton Kershaw's age back then,
now.
But he said, we're not expecting him for a full season. What we're expecting him is to be good when he is available. And that's, Blake Snell isn't the age that Rich Hill was and not the same type of pitcher. Blake Snell is still dominant. Rich Hill was already a crafty lefty at that point. Blake Snell still has a lot of years, hopefully, before he's
and a lot of juice
lefty.
in that arm.
Yeah, absolutely. Great pitcher. But I think if everybody was being honest, including Blake Snell, they would all say, we don't necessarily expect 180 innings a year from him. What we expect is him to be really good when he's pitching. And that's what we've seen so far. And early in the season, I think part of the reason people were talking about him being a bust was because even when before he got hurt in his 2 starts, he wasn't super good. And that was when we found out after the fact, he was hurt or already hurting, felt it in spring training, should have just told him. But, you understand, he's just signed a new contract. You don't want to start your new contract on the injury list. You want to try to power through it. In hindsight, maybe you shouldn't have, but also in hindsight, to Alex's point, I think it might be a blessing in disguise that we can get 50 or 60 innings from Snell and then go to October. So he's, just built up and ready. Like, you can go 110 pitches in October if we need you, but go out there and be dominant, because it may take 110 pitches to get through 6 innings because that's the Blake Snell experience. But man, that dude can pitch.
Yeah, the stuff was filthy. I wish he could land the high fastball a little closer than he did. I'm sure he wishes that too. So this isn't news to anybody. The high fastball was missing high by a lot. But to your point, and to the conversation we were having last night about Mookie Betts, to tie this thing together, and if you didn't hear that conversation, again, you got to tune in to last night. Jeff and I, we're weaving threads together. We're weaving storylines, just like J.R. Tolkien. Like, you have to listen to everything.
Tolkien?
Yeah, just like Tolkien.
You say
Tolkien,
Tolkien,
whatever. There's an E and an I. Just I before E, except after C. Somebody told me that once. And anyway, but to Blake Snell's credit, he already has 2 Cy Young awards. What doesn't he have? World Series win. He doesn't have that. What does he need to solidify his stature among MLB's greatest? Is he needs deep playoff runs. He needs to do it on the biggest stage, and the Dodgers give him that biggest chance, the best chance really of any Major League Baseball team. And how do they do that? Because, and I know people don't like prospect hugging, but it's because the Dodgers have one of, if not the deepest farm system when it comes to pitching talent. They have guys just ready to go pretty much whenever. I mean, you get guys like Emmett Sheehan coming up recently. Kyle Hurt might be on his way back. If you really, 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 if you squint hard enough and you really need it, you could get Bobby Miller to start a couple games for you. But what the talent and the depth of this farm system does is allow guys like Blake Snell to take their time when coming back. Because I do, like you said, I do agree that the injuries were real, but they just slow walked them back, which is the right play here. That's what they should do. And Blake Snell, I'm sure he's hungry for a championship. He's been there. He's done that almost. Yep. If Kevin Cash didn't pull him.
Yeah, once you lose a World Series, especially with his role in losing that World Series, he's got to be hungry. Blake Snell is not going to win the Cy Young Award this year. He's not going to pitch enough. Right now, over on FanDuel, our sponsor, our friends at FanDuel, Paul Skeens is still the favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award. It's getting a little bit closer. He's at minus 500 right now. Zach Wheeler's at plus 350. Still not super close. That's actually
pretty good.
Skeens is the overwhelming favorite. You're probably going to win the Cy Young Award. Paul Skeens is not going to win the World Series until he gets traded to the Dodgers, but he's probably going to win the Cy Young Award despite having a losing record, and not a barely losing record, probably. He has been dominant. Yoshinori Yamamoto is the only Dodger showing up on the odds. He's currently at plus 10,000. Now, I will say in 1988, at this point in the season, Orel Hershiser would probably not have been the betting favorite to win the Cy Young Award, because he was just about to start his scoreless streak. And so, you know what? Stranger things have happened.
Yama strings together 5 really good outings. Paul Skeens gets lit up in 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah,
talking a little bit differently.
You never know. Over in the American League, Tarek Skubal is at his odds. He's still the favorite, but down to minus 220 because the Angels knocked him around a little bit the other day. Garrett Crochet is at plus 150, so that one's a little bit closer. Nathan Eovaldi's at plus 1900, even though he's got an ERA that's it's ridiculous. But
if you want, all I'm saying is, if you want value bets, look at it. There's a twinkle in the Eovaldi eye.
So anyway, you can find all that stuff over at FanDuel.com.
This is not advice, by the way, legally speaking.
We're not giving betting advice. We're just telling you that FanDuel exists, and But let's talk a little bit about the offense. Max Muncy, once again, the Dodgers offense didn't score for the first couple innings, and then got a big 2-run homer. This one from Max Muncy, opposite field homer. He didn't necessarily think he got. I thought right off the bat, I was yelling "get out" right off the bat, but Muncy didn't feel like he got it, but he did. He had a 2-run home run, and in hindsight, that's all the Dodgers needed. But luckily, they got a lot more than that. Everybody except Teoscar Hernandez got in on the party today.
Bad pitches too today.
Yeah, Teoscar was the only Dodger to not get on base, struck out twice. Everybody else, though, Conforto was on base all 3 times up. That's all we're going to say about him because, This is a game where you just don't.
Alex Call technically did not get on base pinch hitting for Conforto.
And I'm talking guys in the starting lineup. Same with Justin Dean and Miguel Rojas. All three guys who came in as defensive replacements didn't get on base, but the starters, everybody except for Teo, got on base. But Muncy, 2 for 3 with the homer, also had an RBI, or not an RBI single, but a single. Mookie had a 2-run single. Dalton Rushing had a 2-run single. And that one was actually a big hit by Dalton Rushing.
I do want to touch on that a little later after we talk about Muncy.
Okay. Well, we can do anywhere we want. Let's talk Rushing. He's in our mouths right now. It was only 3-0, right?
Phrasing?
It was 3-0, I think, when he came up.
Yeah.
And comes up with bases loaded. And first pitch, he got a pitch to hit, and he ripped it up the middle, which was very good to see.
Yeah, it was. So Rushing has been such an interesting prospect to come up through the Dodgers organization. Wasn't really highly thought of. Like, they just said, oh, he's big power when he was drafted. Obviously skyrocketed through the organization because he had a good eye along with the power. And then he shows up with the Dodgers in like I've said a million times, in the least enviable position, I would say, for anybody making their major league debut, which is backup catcher for an MVP candidate catcher, because you're not going to get everyday playing time at all. And his bat has gone quiet. It's been really silent. But what we've noticed as a community is he's really in between pitches. He stares at fastballs, kind of right down Broadway. He looks at breaking balls. Again, in the strike zone, like meatballs, he's not really swinging it. He seems hesitant to take the bat off his shoulder. And then in today's game, bases loaded, and it's just put the ball in play, find something to hit, and hit it. What does he do? First pitch he sees, he rips it up the middle. And that's something where I'm like, okay, it's the person outside agrees with me with that horn. It's okay, you're swinging free and clear. He understands, I just need to get a pitch to hit, and he does it, and it's an absolute rope. And that's something that's encouraging for me. And I hope it's encouraging for Rushing that, okay, he can hit the ball. He just needs to be a little bit more confident in his pitch selection. And that's something that I've wanted since he's been up at this point. And that today, I think, really solidified for me. It's like, okay, when you had nothing, there were no other options for him. It wasn't take a walk. It wasn't strike. It was just find a pitch to hit and hit it. He identified a pitch, struck it, and it was put beautifully in place. It was a hard hit ball. It was a no-doubter. Like, it solidified to me, like, okay, he's a major league hitter. He just needs to build that confidence within himself.
Yeah, absolutely. And coming up with bases loaded and nobody out is a great situation to be in, because, we've talked about with Mookie several times, even when he was struggling, coming up with a runner on third and less than 2 outs, knowing I don't even need to get a hit to help the team. Yeah. Bases loaded, it's even better than that. It's like, there's so many different ways to help the team. And I just pulled up to look at teams this year with bases loaded and nobody out. There are 11 teams with an OPS of at least 1,000 in those situations as a team. And that tells you, like, it's just so much easier. There's also the Rockies. They've only had 4 plate appearances with bases loaded and nobody out this season, and they are 0 for 4.
They're 0 for 4? No.
The Rockies and A's both have an OPS of 0 with bases loaded and nobody out this season. Rockies are 0. The A's are 0.83 because they did walk once. But you look at this, and not even good teams. The Reds are batting .533 with the 1,500 OPS with bases loaded and nobody out. Like, that's there's good teams there too, but the Nationals have an 1135 OPS with bases loaded and nobody out. It's just so much easier to hit there. And so I love Dalton Rushing's approach to come in that situation and just kind of embrace that and fully accept the benefits that you have, the advantage you have in that situation. This pitcher, he doesn't want to walk you. He knows you're a rookie. He knows Shohei Ohtani is on deck. Like, he wants nothing more than to get you to hit into a double play right now. And so he's coming after you. So you go up there and say, he's coming after me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go after him. And line drive on the first pitch. It was beautiful. I loved it.
It wasn't just like a line drive. He squeaked it down down the foul line. It was exactly where you want to hit a ball. If you're a major league hitter, it is right back up the middle. What, like you get a pitch off the pitch machine. Where do you want to do? You want to send it right back up the middle. Every pitching coach, every hitting coach doesn't want you to hit it up the middle. Every hitting coach wants you to hit it straight back where it came from. And that's what he did. And that's, again, that was really awesome to see from Dalton Rushing. And I know, again, it's the world's tiniest sample size. Like, it doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. It obviously didn't mean a whole lot in this game because they won 9-1. But for the player and for his progression into what we hope is to be a future major league star, that was really, really good to see from him.
Yeah, and he drove in the first 2 runs of a 6-run inning. Like, it was a close game until then. The Dodgers had a lead, but it wasn't a comfortable lead. Also in that inning, in fact, the next batter, they threw a wild pitch to put runners on second and third, and so then they said, okay, we're just going to intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani. You said it on Twitter. Teams continue to walk Shohei Ohtani, and they continue to
face the wrath of Mookie Betts.
Yeah, you would think they would learn. And here's a stat. I need to crunch the numbers. I've started this process. I've made the spreadsheet, but this is literally a process that's going to take me hours to do. So I haven't done it yet, but I want to find out how often in the major leagues overall a guy gets intentionally walked and comes around to score in that inning. Because the whole point of intentionally walking a guy is to limit the damage in the inning. Oh, this guy can hurt us. Let's not let him hurt us. If he comes around to score, by definition, your move backfired.
Yes.
Well, Shohei Ohtani has now been intentionally walked 23 times since he came to the Dodgers. He has scored 12 of those times. More than 50% of the time that he's been intentionally walked, he comes around to score, including tonight. It was exactly 50% until tonight. Now it's a little bit more. It's just ridiculous what Mookie Betts and everybody else behind him. Tonight, it was, Mookie got a hit. It was eventually Andy Pages' 2-run double that scored Ohtani. It just keeps happening. Yeah. And for whatever reason, the Dodgers offense just loves it. Hey, you're putting Shohei on base? Sweet. Let's get him in.
Yeah, so we talked about this last night, and it was really funny. We talked about Mookie's mentality, in terms of the season stats versus what he can do to affect every single game, like a singular game. Again, if you didn't hear that conversation, you got to tune in last night. I'm not going to repeat it here, but I think it speaks to that mentality where, he takes it personally. He has to take it personally, and because it feels like every single time Shohei is walked in front of Mookie, what does Mookie do? He hits a home run. He hits a double. He hits something. And if he doesn't hit it and it's an out, it's absolutely scorched. It's not like a pop-up or a strikeout. It doesn't feel that way. I'm sure there's an example of one, and somebody on, YouTube or Twitter or whatever will, show me like, oh yeah, this is the time that Mookie struck out. But it feels like, and as you pointed out, 12 of the 23 times Shohei's come around to score, Mookie has, and this is when Shohei's on first. Like, Mookie has come through and just taken it personally, and I love that about him. That fire, and he, it would have taken prime Arenado to get to that ball. He just absolutely torched it down the right field or the left field line, and it ricocheted off the third baseman's glove, and they ended up scoring. It was awesome. I tweeted out, the definition of insanity is to do something over and over again and expect a different result. And yet people still keep walking intentionally Shohei in front of Mookie and think it's going to work out for them. And it hasn't. Sorry. And I'm so okay with it.
Even when Mookie was struggling, I saw some comments about, well, Mookie didn't give him any reason to fear him for a while. This is overall, which includes, Mookie Betts hasn't been Mookie Betts for half of Shohei's time with the Dodgers. And yet still, this 12 out of 23 times Shohei has come around to score. And a lot of the time it's been Mookie Betts. They mentioned tonight. Yep. Mookie Betts is now 5 for 11 in at-bats after Shohei was intentionally walked. Yeah,
that's a crazy stat because you would expect. And so when you crunch the numbers, you can eventually tell us. You would expect somebody who gets intentionally walked, basically gets the Barry Bonds, Aaron Judge treatment. The next person to come up to basically strike out or pop up and just be a non-factor. And Mookie Betts has been anything but a non-factor. And it's at least in those situations. Yes, for the majority of the season, Mookie has not been good. I get it. I understand. But in these situations and situational hitting like this, he's definitely come through.
Yeah.
Mark Noah Sotelo has Kevin watched Mookie play the last 3 months of the season because the guy he's talking about has only showed up about 3 days ago. I'm glad he's here, but let's get realistic. We're not talking about Mookie Betts the entire season. We're talking about Mookie Betts specifically after Shohei gets walked. And after Shohei gets walked intentionally, Mookie Betts has shown up and absolutely delivered. But at the same time, it's also been really nice that Mookie Betts is just kind of back.
Yeah. Even tonight, he only went 1 for 4, but he did. One of his outs was hit hard. Not a great day, but when they need him, he comes up bases loaded and ripped that single. But let's talk about Max Muncy. Ray in the chat says, Muncy back, offense is back. Coincidence? And I think we all agree it's not a coincidence. The Dodgers offense started being terrible the day that Max Muncy got hurt. And it stopped being terrible. Max Muncy came back. Yeah, it's going to be inconsistent. That's the way baseball is. I do think a lot of times Dodger fans get so annoyed at the Dodgers' offensive inconsistency and forget that that's how most baseball teams are. It's impossible to score 7 runs every game. You can average 7 runs a game. You can't do it every game. You're going to have bad games. You're going to run into games where the pitcher wins, but the Dodgers, there's no denying that since Max Muncy came back, the offense definitely looks better. Even if it's still not as consistent as we would like it to be, the offense looks better. And like you and I, Kevin, we're both big Max Muncy fans. We were talking a
little bit more than you.
I don't know about that. I love Max Muncy. I've ever since the day the Dodgers called him up, and I referred to him as a barrel-chested young man. And I just love a guy who can be what Max Muncy is and be that good at baseball. Because he's had to work for everything he's gotten. And every major leaguer works hard. But I think Max Muncy has worked a little harder, and because he's had to. And I think because of that, he appreciates it a little more. One of the same things I liked about Chris Taylor. These guys who were on the brink of being out of baseball before their career ever really got started. And then they were able to make a change. Justin Turner falls in this category too. They were able to make a change, rejuvenate themselves, reinvent themselves as baseball players. And I think those guys, that's why it's so easy to like Max Muncy and Chris Taylor and Justin Turner, because you can just tell how much they appreciate where they are. Like, if you're Shohei Ohtani, I'm sure he appreciates it, but also he's the most talented baseball player in the world. If you're Aaron Judge, you're like, yeah, it's pretty cool to be able to hit the ball 6,000 feet. That's definitely a big help to me. I'm sure all these guys appreciate it, but not in the same way that a guy who spent some time really thinking, I may never have a real big league career. I may have to go back and finish my college degree because I'm going to have to make money some other way to support my family. When you get to that point then, and that you are actually a star on a World Series caliber team, just such a different mindset, I think. And one of the reasons that I always love Max Muncy, just seeing the smile on his face, how much he appreciates it.
I mean, so I love Max Muncy for a multitude of reasons. One of which, the smile, the bat flips are incredible. I'm telling Madison Bumgarner to go fish it out of the ocean. Obviously, just things that will live rent free in my head, until I die. One thing, because we loosely talked about it on Twitter, because I had mentioned that somebody that I would want their number retired, despite the Dodgers rule of only retiring numbers of players who enter the Hall of Fame, Fernando Valenzuela excluded, of course, would be Max Muncy. And you had mentioned JT, and JT is a phenomenal pick here, and I agree. JT has done a lot for this organization. One thing, though, that just has really endeared me to Max Muncy more than JT in this instance, because I love JT. Don't get me wrong. I bought my dad a Justin Turner jersey because he was just the guy. But JT was a third baseman, had to move to first base. Max Muncy was a first baseman, and when they signed Freddie Freeman, they're like, hey, Max, if you want to be on this team, you can't play first base. You're going to have to play third base. You're going to have to learn arguably a much harder position, and you're going to have to learn to throw from there. And he did. He was rough to start, and he's a little rough on the edges currently, but he has turned himself into a major league third baseman, whereas I wouldn't be shocked if a few years from now, some of the younger Dodgers fans go, oh, Dodgers third baseman, Max Muncy. Whereas we might remember him as like basically Dodgers utility man, Max Muncy, who's played first, second, third.
Made an all-star team as a second baseman.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just, I love that Max is like, same with Mookie Betts. He just does what the team asks of him. He's like, okay, can't play first base anymore because we have an MVP there. I'm going to go to third base.
And you're even underselling it a little bit, because Max Muncy wasn't just a first baseman. Max Muncy had turned himself into one of the best defensive first basemen in baseball. And a lot of people, I've said that and people have scoffed. But if you look at the actual numbers, what he was doing first base, he was a legitimately great defensive first baseman. And it did help that he was also coming off injury. And so when the Dodgers brought in Freeman, it was like, Muncy wasn't necessarily in a position to argue because he wasn't even going to be ready for the beginning of the season. But Muncy is a gamer and willing to. I mean, he said this last offseason when there was all the rumors that the Dodgers might trade for Nolan Arenado. Muncy said, hey, I'll play wherever they need me, wherever I can help the team win. And I think everybody has that attitude, but some more than others, because I think it goes back to what I was talking about, where because Muncy knows where he's come from, Muncy knows he's not going into the Hall of Fame. He's not going to, at the end of his career, nobody's going to say, Max Muncy, Hall of Famer? No. Max Muncy, awesome, great player for the Dodgers, huge moments. He's not a Hall of Famer. And I think that helps sometimes, because when you are a future Hall of Famer, like, when we talked with Kenley Jansen, Kenley needs to be a closer, whatever team he's on, because Kenley wants to go in the Hall of Fame, and to do that, he needs saves. Just like Craig Kimbrell, and any other closer, it's such a big thing. And so when you have a guy who's thinking about his long-term legacy, even if the team comes first, they're also thinking about that. And even the team has to think about that. But everybody's on the same page with Max Muncy. The dude is a gamer. He's going to do whatever it takes to win, help the team win, play whatever position they need, and play somewhere between mediocre and great defense, depending on the position and the day. Yeah. But he's willing to do whatever the team needs. It's always funny to me. There are people who hate the Dodgers, and Max Muncy is one of their favorite ones to hate. I do not understand how anybody could ever hate Max Muncy. He is one of the most likable dudes in baseball for me.
He not only is he just a good baseball, like a great baseball player, just like one of the most fun guys to watch, works great at bats. Like I said, phenomenal bat flips when he connects, just some of the best stuff you'll ever see. But he gives interviews, he never says anything wrong. He's just honest. He's just fun to watch, top to bottom. A really, really fun player to watch. And unfortunately, I don't think he'll get the Cooperstown nod, and I don't expect him to, and that's okay. He'll go and that's why I said he should go down as at least Dodgers legend. 55 should be retired for Oral. 13 should get retired, in my opinion. I don't want to see anybody else, because you talk about retired numbers and things like that. It's what the number meant to the organization. And I don't know anybody that really embodies I'll just do whatever the Dodgers want and succeed at it like Max Muncy, at least in this generation,
And we may have to have a bigger conversation in the offseason about retired numbers because
you have a few.
I think
16.
I think too many teams retired too many numbers actually.
Yeah.
So, to my point though, what I was saying, Mark in the chat says they told Max he's not going to play first anymore because he never really could play it to begin with. A good example of what I was talking about of people just didn't appreciate what Max was in 2021. Outs above average, Max Muncy, 93rd percentile. Fielding run value, 80th percentile. Max Muncy was a legitimately excellent defensive third baseman.
Yes.
And
first baseman.
Yeah, first base. Did I say third? Sorry.
You said third. Yeah.
Sorry, first baseman. And then he moved to third because of Freddie Freeman. And yeah, when you have a chance to get Freddie Freeman, you make room for Freddie Freeman. And Max knows that. But yeah, he was a great defensive first baseman. He was a solid defensive second baseman, but that was when they had the shift. I don't think Max Muncy could hold down second base anymore. But, that's, love Max Muncy. We could do a whole, love letter to Max Muncy. But what we saw tonight was a couple more hits from Max Muncy, continuing to drive this offense, be the guy who makes this thing go. And, we actually had a suggestion for a show topic that we may get to one of these days from one of our Discorders about the idea of Max Muncy being the Dodgers leadoff hitter because the dude gets on base. He's patient. He works counts, and
he's Kyle Schwarber. Like I know he doesn't put up the home run numbers of Kyle Schwarber, but he's Kyle Schwarber in terms of left-handed batter, obviously. Works counts, gets on base, but also if you leave him a mistake, guess where that ball's going? It's going in the seats.
Yeah.
It's a souvenir. Like that's where that ball lands. And yeah, that would absolutely be I'd sign off on that in an instant. I would. I really would.
Yeah. So, it's we'll maybe dig into that more some other time. Justin Dean got his first major league at bat. He struck out a decent at bat. He worked the count and fouled off a couple pitches. That pitcher was, I think, underratedly tough. Nance, his ERA is now 0.77. I saw when he came in, he had an 0.86 ERA and hitters were batting 0.86 off of him. Like the dude, he's hard to hit. So it's a rough guy to have your first major league at bat against. He put up a good at bat. He did strike out swinging at a pitch in the zone, but that guy was pretty tough. The Blue Jays actually threw some tough pitchers at the Dodgers today. Unfortunately for them, it was after they had given up all the runs. Maybe they should have used the better guys sooner.
Yeah.
But who am I?
I will say to Justin Dean, to the topic of Justin Dean, it looks like he's having a lot of fun in the outfield, which I love. For a guy who's athletic as he is and can make plays like he can. It's pretty cool to see him just like kind of have fun on like routine plays and just like catch a ball and just be like, oh yeah, I'm the Dodgers center fielder right now. Like, yeah, this is really, really cool.
And that late inning defense after they had the big inning, they went to the defensive alignment in the outfield where you had Andy Pages in right. And we saw it in the ninth inning, a deep fly ball to right center that Andy Pages chased down. Pages is a great right fielder. Justin Dean in center. Elite defensive center fielder. If he can ever learn to hit, he's going to actually be a good major league player. I don't know if that's going to happen. He hit well in AAA, but we'll have to see. And then Alex Collin left. Like that is all this season we've had Andy Pages being okay in center, and then Teoscar and Conforto being somewhere between bad and the worst thing you've ever seen on the corners. This late inning defense, it's actually like, hey, this is actually a good defensive outfield, going to save some runs. And when you are playing a game where you're up 3-2 in the late innings, that can come in handy for sure.
Yeah, it's just definitely a situation where if a ball gets hit to the outfield, I'm not holding my breath. I'm not like, are they going to get to that? Oh, is it going to fall? No.
Although, to be fair, you and I were watching that last inning together, and those are literally the sounds you made when that ball was hit because you had forgotten that it was Pages and Dean out there and not Teo and Pages. So,
yes.
It'll take some getting used to for you.
Yes, the Dodgers have unfortunately whipped me into believing that we no longer can play defense, which is the opposite of what started this, I won't say dynasty, but this incredible, 12-year run at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Shohei Ohtani also homered, hit his 40th homer of the year. Ho hum. Just the third Dodger ever to have 40 homers in back-to-back seasons. Last year, his 40th home run came walk-off grand slam against the Rays to get to 40-40. This year, there was a little bit less hoopla because he's not stealing as many bases, but 40 home runs. He's on pace for 55. There's a very good chance that Shohei Ohtani, by the end of this season, will have the 2 highest single-season home run totals in Dodger history after playing exactly 2 seasons with the Dodgers. Very impressive. And do you remember what Shohei's MVP odds were last night when we talked about it on FanDuel?
I thought weren't they like minus 1,500?
It was something like that. And I don't know if this is a typo. Right now on FanDuel, Shohei Ohtani's MVP odds minus 10,000. and Schwarber's at plus 1,500. The FanDuel, the bettors who make up the betting lines have decided Shohei Ohtani is the National League MVP.
Running away.
It's kind of wild. Which
he's gonna win his third unanimous. He didn't win his first one unanimously.
The other all 3 times that Shohei has won the MVP, he's been unanimous.
Oh, I thought the first one wasn't. Okay, yeah. So this will be his 4th unanimous.
In the American League, Aaron Judge is at minus 180. National League, Shohei is at minus 10,000.
Because we were talking about this like weeks ago. It's like, look, if this guy hits 45, 50 innings pitched by the end of the year, and he doesn't have to have a sub 2 ERA. He has a sub 3.5 ERA and just continues to do what he does at the plate. There is no argument you could ever pitch me for any other player winning the MVP award. It's incredible what this guy does. Like, literally, we talked about this when they lost the other night to the Cardinals. It's like, hey, yeah, he pitched 4 great innings. He hits a home run. He gives himself the lead. And the other 11 guys on the team don't pick him up. Like, he does what he can to win a game. Like, by himself, pitching, hitting, whatever. So, yeah, they're going to have to rename this award. Sorry, they're just going to have to.
Yep. I saw in the chat, I think it was Matty Man said that Dave will never start Alex Call in left field. I assume that Matty Man is going to be proven wrong in about 10 hours when we get tomorrow's lineup, because the Dodgers do face left-hander Matt Lauer tomorrow. I would be shocked if Alex Call isn't in the starting lineup. Tyler Glasnow, didn't they say Glasnow's going on Monday?
No, Yoshi's going on Monday.
Yoshi's going on. That's right. Okay. They flipped him. Yeah, so it'll be Tyler Glasnow against, what's his name? Eric Lauer. I almost said Matt Lauer. He's the TV guy, right?
Yeah, he's the TV guy, unfortunately.
Anyway, Eric Lauer throws with his left hand, so Alex Cole will probably get the start. I'm interested to see. I assume Max Muncy will be in the lineup because he's not a platoon guy. I think when he sat against the lefty last series, it was just because he was just off the IL. They were just planning on him playing 2 games.
Could they? I mean, they could, right? Miggy plays third, Freeland plays second, Mookie's a short. They could.
Although tonight, I think it would be the other way. I think they'd put Miggy at second and Freeland at third. That's what they did tonight when they switched up the defense anyway. Yeah, they could. I expect Muncy to be in the lineup. And obviously Will Smith will be back in the lineup. Hopefully Dodgers, I'm greedy. Now that they've won the series, now I want them to sweep it.
I think they sweep.
So that's you heard it here first. Skinner7 Kevin says Dodgers sweep, and
if I'm wrong, it's at real FRG's fault.
That guy screws up everything. All right, you got anything else for tonight, K-pop?
Mark Noah Sotelo says, is Kiki officially done for the season? No, he took grounders at third base today. It looks like they're testing out the arm, seeing if he can get healthy. I as far as the Dodgers go with injuries, he's not done until he's done. So just, they might be slow playing him back as well, and just seeing what they've got in Freeland and, Mickey. So,
yeah, I I'm fine with Kike being out.
Yeah.
Someday
they're
he'll come
winning
back.
games with him not playing. So
Yeah, I don't think he's the reason they struggled. And, I know people believe in his postseason superpowers, and I
believe in them.
I know you do. Your people. And yeah, if he's back by the postseason and he hits like postseason Kike, that'll be awesome. But right now, I'm not worrying too much about him. So, but that'll do it for us for today. We will be back again tomorrow, not right after the game. It's a 1 p.m. LA time game. We will do something probably not this late because we won't have to wait for the game to end, but we're thinking probably, somewhere between 8 and 9 Pacific. We'll let you all know. Be sure that you are following, that you've clicked the little notification bell so that you will get notified when we are going live. All those things. Be sure to go to patreon.com/realfrg. $5 a month. You can join our Discord where we are talking.
We do
Dodgers
have
all the
our
time.
first our watch along coming up this weekend. So
yeah, next Friday, the 15th, we're going to be in the Discord. We'll be watching the game together, watching the Dodgers beat the Padres all together there on the Discord. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you're watching or listening, all those things. Shoot your comments in the comment section down below, not just in the live chat, everywhere. Come back and interact with the other people in the comments. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the chats. Thanks to our moderators. I think that covers everything. We'll be back with you tomorrow night. So thanks. I'm Jeff over at Snydog on Twitter. That's Kevin over at Skinner7Kevin on Twitter. Clint is not here, but he's at RealFRG, and he'll be back on Monday, I think. So that'll do it for us. So we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.